Hello and welcome to highlights of Round 9 Season 5 of the HRZN Racing League from Austria. These are highlights of the sprint race from the Red Bull Ring. My name's Chris, otherwise known as Scream. I'll be taking you through the action from that chaotic 12-lap race. But let's take a look at the calendar as it stands. The Scottish took victory last time out in Jeddah to add to his victories in Britain and Miami. I'm Your Mate has 4 victories to his name this season. Sandra Wagner with 2, Tommy Ash with a sprint win at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. The Scottish took that victory with a fastest lap by just under 3.5 seconds. Andy Rudin came home in third and bagged driver of the day for a solid performance. Bunny's Vengeance, I'm Your Mate, Senna, Vampire, Perpetual, Lil Reeves, Rover, Jimmy Alex and Six Pompano rounding out the points. That means that I'm Your Mate is 33 points clear of Tommy Ash going into this round, with the Scottish the only other driver to have broken 100 points. Andy's result moved him into the top 10 and into P9. In Split 1, I'm Your Mate still leads the way by 31, with the Scottish a further 20 back. Vampire jumps Scornful Griffin, who's been out of action for a while DRS Sign now 1 point above the relegation zone, Six Pompano trying to claw his way out. And in Split 2, Perpetual moved ahead of Jimmy Alex into the promotion spots in that split. While points were gained by the rest of the guys, they're starting to close in on Jimmy Alex in third. And in the Constructors, Ferrari lead the way by just 9 points from RB, Mercedes holding off Williams as it stands, while Haas slipped towards Red Bull and even HRZN Racing down the back. But it was the fastest circuit last time out in Saudi Arabia, and this time it is the shortest on the calendar. We're going to the Österreich Ring, the A1 Ring, the Red Bull Ring, whatever you want to call it, the Austrian Grand Prix out in the Styrian Mountains. Let's take a look at this track that's been holding races since 1963. It's 4.318 kilometres, 10 turns, 7 to the left, 3 to the left. Max Verstappen holds the record of most wins with 4, while in Horizon, Scottish has won, I'm Your Mate won a sprint, and Lance has won a feature in the past. But this is a lap that you can do in about 65 seconds, maybe even less, if you get it right. You head up this start-finish straight. There's DRS available here, heading up the hill towards Niki Lauda, turn number 1. You want to get wide on entry, clip the curb on mid-corner, and try not to get too wide on the exit, else you might run off that sausage curb. This slight drift to the left is classed as turn 2 in the track map before you hit the brakes hard for Remus at turn 3. Again at the top of the hill, wide entry, clip mid-corner, and don't go too wide on exit. Head downhill in another DRS zone. This will be the third one as you get into Schlossgold, turn number 4. This one seems to just sneak up on you. Feels much wider than it actually is, but it's a really tight apex before you drift through turn 5 to the right. Then it's into Rausch, turn 6, constantly waiting to get on the power. Before you drift out, you can take a bit more of the curb there before you head into Curve Worth. The curbs here a little bit more lethal as you come out of turn 8, heading up and over the crest towards turn 9, which is Rint. And then it's Red Bull Mobile for turn 10. Watch that pit entry though, because that can also catch you out if people are entering ahead of you. So that was 63 seconds, 64, maybe 65 seconds. It's a short lap here, but it meant that qualifying was chaotic. I'm Your Mate took pole from the Scottish with Six Pompano in third. Vampire, Tommy Ash, Senna, Jacob, Rover, Lil Reeves and Andy finishing in the top 10. While down at the back we had Bunny's Vengeance, Sign, Jimmy Alex, Davisaurus and Bazza bringing up the rear of the field. And that's your 15 for the Austrian Grand Prix, the sprint race for round number 9. Let's get into it. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights and 5. And away we go. We stay on board with I'm Your Mate just for a second and see if there we go. That's better. That's what we're looking for there. Removes all around the field. I'm Your Mate though clean into turn number 1. Six Pompano has got past the Scottish and Tommy's and made a great start from 5th. He's up to 3rd already. The Scottish is down to 4th place. May have been a little bit of contact, but let's head up into turn number 3. Everybody looking pretty clean through there. Jacob, though, making moves on Vampire. Andy, Jimmy, Syme, all of them making moves. And Jimmy, Baz is at the back. Baz is at the back and he's in the wall. I think there's been some contact with Jimmy, who's missing a front wing. And it just goes from bad to worse for Bazza. Let's take a look at some of these starts then. I'm your mate on pole here. Doesn't build the revs too high. It appears he has to get into second early to get that traction down. The Scottish having a sniff at this point, but the second phase is fantastic. I'm your mate sweeps across turn 1, clips just enough of the curb on exit and entry, and is off and away up the hill well ahead of his rivals. Let's look at 6 Pompano's start from 3rd position. Again, not a huge amount on the revs. Doesn't feel the need to jump into second gear quite so quickly. Looks like he's losing out to the Scottish and I'm your mate at this point, but again, the second phase really works for him, and the shallow line for the Scottish leaves him vulnerable to the outside line that 6 takes.
Wow, P3.
Right. Good luck, boys.
Further back with Tommy, who had, by his own admission, a little bit of a disappointing qualifying for the sprint. Getting into second gear really fast, and it's already all over Vampire before we get into turn 1. Again, the little bit of contact between 6 and Scottish leaves the door open and Tommy's through. Let's look at Jacob start from the mid-pack in the Red Bull. Once again, doesn't build the revs too much, doesn't feel the need to leap into second gear immediately, and then he's just trying to keep enough of a gap around him. You can see Senna and Vampire get a little bit caught together there. Senna being fired off to the right, which gives Jacob an opportunity to have a run up through 2 and into 3. Dives up the inside of Vampire, gets really late on the brakes. Vampire sticks the Mercedes on the outside, and it's another straight drag race down into turn 4. Then you've got your yellow flag, and Jacob's through. Let's go further back again, this time for Bunny's Vengeance in the Alpine. Really high revs compared to his rivals, but seems to get a really great launch off the lines. Already up alongside the Haas of Andy. And then he's just trying not to go into the back of the cars in front. There were a few cars struggling throughout the entire race meet with some lag. So it looked like there may have been a slight tap on Lil Reeves, although it wasn't picked up by the Alpine. And as we head up here, you can see the lag there for Rover in the other Alpine. Manages to find his way up the inside, and then again, it's a drag race that Bunny wins. And we'll see all that from Andy's POV now in the Haas. Mid-range on the revs, doesn't really bog down too much, but his launch is not brilliant. Syme having a think about going up the inside, and then Andy's pinned to the inside. Bunny has already swept his Alpine around, and it's the run up to turn number 3. He's using the slipstream of the Alpine to try and make some moves back. You'll see Rover will dart across there, which means that Andy does nudge the back of the Alpine. He clips Bazza, who then goes into Jimmy, and we'll take a look at that incident. It did go to the stewards for review, this one. So let's take a look at Bazza's POV. He gets off the line really well, the launch is fantastic, and then he's immediately just trying to find himself some space as he's the last one to get in turn 1, round the outside of Dabasaurus without too much hassle. And then it's all about the run up to turn 3 for the Ferrari. Again, gets a bit of the slipstream from Syme, dives up the inside, and he's already up and alongside before the braking point. Brakes very late, clips Andy, gives Andy a bit of damage, and then it's a bit of Cody's physics. Comes together with Jimmy, the cars combine, and he's into the side. It was a 5-second penalty for Bazza, which will have to be given for the next Grand Prix, or will become apparent as we continue on. Finds reverse, continues on about his day. Take a look here, on board with the Scottish heading up into turn 3. DRS was active as 6 gets all out of shape going through there. It looks like Syme has made the move on Andy at the back. Bazza has retired. Here we are with Andy in the Haas. He's being chased by Syme here in the Syme, but tries to stay to the extreme inside to defend, but Syme too quick with the DRS, and then he catches his rears on the curb, spins the car, and he's fallen way off the back of the pack. He Second, third, fourth battle, though, starting to fall off the back of I'm Your Mate, but keeping quite close together. Looks like Six has got quite the drifty setup as he rattled his way through the mid-sector there. As we head up over the crest, Jimmy is 43 seconds back as Six has run very wide there. Oh, and I'm Your Mate spun! I'm Your Mate has spun it and he's in the wall. He's falling backwards. And that could be pivotal for the championship. We are with I'm Your Mate up in the lead of the race at this point. Looking fairly good, and then he just gets on the curb, much like Andy earlier, spins the car, knocks a bit of the front wing off, breaks the DRS board as he's trying to find reverse. He's being careful not to reverse into the way of oncoming traffic, but he's already out of the points and has a comeback to drive. Obviously, sprint race points, 1st to 8th, but he's now in 12th and out of the points, while his championship rivals 2nd and 3rd as Tommy goes for the lead and he makes it. Round the outside of 6 into turn number 3, Senna has passed DRS. Senna's passed Vampire up ahead as Jacob and Vampire battling away further back. And we've got two kind of distinct groups at the moment, the top 3 and then this little clutch between the two Saubers. As we stay on board with Bunny's Vengeance, looking around the outside of the Red Bull of Jacob, not really getting through there.
Yellow flag.
Let's jump on board with Jacob, who's made his way up to 4th in all of the chaos early doors. You can see that Senna has gone to one side. He's got Vampire at the inside of him into turn 3. Has to slam the brakes on just to back out of it, make sure that the other two can get through. Game picks up as a collision. Didn't hear any, didn't see any. But he's got the DRS to fight back. He'll try and look to go up the inside of Vampire at the next corner. Doesn't make it. He's got Bunny's Vengeance for company. And we'll watch that with Bunny's Vengeance, who's a little bit further back. You can see the 3 of them going into the corner. Jacob basically coming to a complete stop. Lil Reeves nearly into the back of him, which gives Bunny the opportunity to slingshot his way up the inside, use the DRS to his advantage and try and hunt down the guys in front.
Okay, good work. Great pass.
Eventually having to back out and just slot in behind the Red Bull there. I'm Your Mate. Maybe just lost it on the curbs on the outside. Where is he now? He's chasing down Davasaurus. Andy seems to be a little bit cut adrift at the back on his own, whether he's had some incidents in the first couple of laps, as well as we've got another yellow flag in sector 1. Who's gone where? Or is that Jimmy's lost it? He's lost his front wing again. He's down at the back and actually quite close to being lapped here. We'll stay on board with 6 just for a second as we go into turn 1. He'll have DRS again heading up here. He's got the Scottish in for company as well. Look, watch those mirrors as he goes past Tommy. We'll watch for the Scottish as well as Davasaurus and I'm Your Mate are fighting. Bunny and Jacob also fighting as it's 3 wide and there's contact between them all and 6 has gone round. He falls back now. Tommy and the Scottish off and away as 6 slips down to 6th place. Bunny has gone up to 5th. Vampire's moved past Senna up ahead. All kicking off now. We're on lap 4. We're already a quarter distance. We were on board with 6 Pompano, but let's look at it from his complete POV. As you can see, he's on the outside of Tommy, and you'll see the 2 arrows there. The Scottish at the inside. The Scottish and 6 get caught on the RB in the middle and come together, with both the Scottish and Tommy managing to get away with it. 6 does lose positions and loses a little bit of front wing, but he's still with the pack. And we'll see that from Tommy's POV as the meat in the sandwich, essentially. As you can see, 6 is round one way. Tommy has got nowhere he can go here as the 2 cars converge in the middle. There is a little bit of Cody's physics, like I say. The cars kind of just join together. Tommy comes out, still in the lead. A few other incidents at the tail end of the last lap into this one. We'll see I'm Your Mate on his comeback drive trying to hunt down DJ Davasaurus. DJ not particularly defending too hard, but keeping the car on the inside to make it more difficult. I'm Your Mate does try and get past, and DJ loses the rear a little bit, taps the Ferrari, but he's through. And we've also got a battle a bit further back with Jacob Bunny's Vengeance, who are trying to chase down Vampire and Senna. Jacob, again, like a few other drivers, loses the rear a little bit out of turn 1. gives Bunny the opportunity to go past with the DRS. And then as we get up here, you can see Lil Reeves trying to go around the outside, but then you can see Six moving slowly. We'll see that from Bunny's POV as well, because watch the Red Bull just catches the curb a little bit. See the rear just loses a bit of traction and the car nearly goes into the wall. Bunny sees that opportunity, takes it brilliantly, calmly around the outside. And then he's all of a sudden on the back of Senna and Vampire, who have had a little bit of contact there, and then he sees a McLaren, which he then just manages to avoid. Makes up a couple of positions in one corner. Great racing. As Lil Reeves is the first to get 3 seconds, you can see Jimmy there wide, and he's... I really hope he's got... I think he has got that into the pits. But now, the top 10, all within just a couple of seconds of each other, as you've got Tommy Ash here defending his lead, but it's DRS ahoy. Simon's got past Rover further back. Let's watch the Scottish as Jimmy gets a 10-second penalty for speed in the pits and retires in the box. The Scottish now takes the lead. This, oh, I thought Tommy had gone into the back of him for a second and he nearly went wide and he's let Vampire in. But Tommy with DRS manages to get back in front of the Mercedes. This is going to be all out to the end, I think. I'm your mate. It's gained 0.3 of a second on this pack already. He's going to try and close up. Nobody outside of DRS in the top 10.
Yeah, Scottish is pushing.
Look at this battle at the lead of the sprint race between Tommy and the Scottish. You can see the Scottish is essentially pushing the RB out of turn number 1, and the DRS, being as powerful as it is, takes Scottish easily by. Tommy will have the opportunity to come back in. The detection point is just here, but he has to get on the brakes really heavy to avoid the back of the Williams. Gives Vampire the opportunity to go chase him at the inside. Tommy manages to defend with the DRS. Senna has fallen off the back of Vampire, who's really sniffing for a good result here. Let's watch Bunny's Vengeance, who got all kinds of loose over the curbs. Further back, I can see Jacob and Lil Reeves as Bunny's Vengeance makes that one fairly easily. Six is looking at the inside of Senna. He's not going to make it there. The move was too late. As Rover now has fallen off the back of this pack. I don't know whether he's had a little bit of an incident somewhere, but I'm your mate. I can close up on him. But as I say, there's still a huge amount of time to make back as everybody just seems to have settled into a position at the moment. Bunny's Vengeance is not in... Bunny's Vengeance has lost it. I was about to say he's not in DRS, and we just cut to Bunny's Vengeance. Returning to the circuit, I'm your mate should pick that position up fairly easily, although Bunny now getting back up to speed. Here we are with Bunny's Vengeance, seeing his point of view of that little spin at mid-lap. Coming through this midsection, he catches the curb, nearly loses it, nearly regains it, and then completely loses it. And he's off into the grass. Easily done on those curbs in the middle of the lap, but gets back on the road and back up to speed before your mate can get by. Tommy trying to chase down the Scottish. Vampire trying to chase down Tommy. Senna with a bit of a gap behind him. He's got Six Pompano for company, who's going to try and been trying to make a comeback here. At the moment, we're looking at the Scottish maybe taking this race victory as Six has gone past Senna with the DRS. Senna doesn't seem to have much of an answer under and Senna's lost it. Senna spins the car and he's going backwards now. As I'm your mate has got past Bunny's Vengeance. They're going to come into this corner and see Senna just moving slowly over the crest of the hill. So Rover now back in the points after looking a bit cut away earlier on. Here we are with Jacob trying to hunt down Six Pompano and Senna, who are immediately in front of him. He's got Lil Reeves in behind him for company as well, but the DRS, not only a great attacking option, but a great defensive option as well. You can see Six has gone past Senna up ahead. Jacob gets really early on the brakes, and then Senna loses it, gets it into the wall. Jacob gets a position. Round the final corner, Tommy seems to have lost a little bit of time, and now he's got Vampire for company as we head up towards turn number 1. The DRS once again holding him in front as I'm your mate. That's another 3-second time penalty. That's 6 seconds. I'm your mate at this point will be finishing practically last as Senna goes past Rover further back there. They're scrapping, I think, out of turn number 1. They are indeed. These four scrapping over the last point in the sprint. Although At the moment, Senna and Bunny's Vengeance, the only ones currently who can really take that without those time penalties to their name, as Lil Reeves. I thought he got past Simon, and I think there was some contact as they kind of met each other in the middle. But Lil Reeves having a really strong showing of it here. Lil Reeves now has gone past Simon to turn 1. Has he overshot? No, he hasn't. Bunny's Vengeance moved past his teammate further back and is now on the back of Senna for that final point in the sprint. The Saubers fighting to maintain some points. It looked like Simon was going to try and fling it up the inside as I'm Your Mate moves past Litz Rover further back as well. Although Rover battling it back. Let's have a look. There is the other Alpine. As Simon goes past Lil Reeves, there's a little bit of wheel bang in there, but Rover is through as Bunny goes up the inside of Senna for the final point in the sprint. Let's ride on board with that one as they go side by side into turn number 5 and then into turn 6. Who's going to go latest? It's going to be Senna. Just about rolls the car through the inside. Great manoeuvre. Couple of incidents to pick out on this one, couple of moves. You can see Rover just ahead as Bunny's got past his teammate. I'm Your Mate here with the DRS. Gets into the slipstream ever so slightly just to essentially side draft his way past the Alpine, but Rover not really giving up too easily, gets really late on the brakes. And I'm Your Mate has all of a sudden got to do all the work over again. Again, the DRS super powerful, heading down into 4, much like it is at various other points of the lap, and you can see up ahead Bunny and Senna going side by side into 4. I'm Your Mate has a think about getting involved in that and then nearly loses the rear end, but at least he's gained 1 place.
I did, yeah. I think it must be that little...
And we'll see this with Bunny. He's up the inside of Senna well before the braking point, but the Sauber really holding his own on the outside. Bunny being careful on the curbing on the inside, giving more than enough room to the Sauber next to him, which is really great racing. And then Senna later on the brakes manages to just about roll the car through the gap and just in front of the Alpine without contact, maintaining that position. Great driving, and then Bunny nearly loses it. Good save there. As Lil Reeves and Syme still battling away, and Lil Reeves now in front, but with that time penalty could fall much further down the field. Time penalties are going to cost a few people here. Most notably, championship leader I'm Your Mate, who looks to be running out of this sprint with 0 points, as we'll ride on board with Vampire. The DRS this time not working to Tommy's advantage. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. Lil Reeves is the one going backwards. I think there may have been contact. We'll have to look at that one later, but Vampire moves into second. Bunny's Vengeance now moves past Senna. Lil Reeves all the way to the back of the field. Vampire trying to defend from Tommy while also attack the Scottish. Tommy at the inside as Lil Reeves is disqualified for driving the wrong way. What is going on back there? But Tommy doesn't manage to maintain second. Vampire takes that.
Can you check?
Let's take a look then at this battle up at the front with Tommy Ash. You've got Vampire just in behind. You can see the Mercedes in the mirror there. The DRS again, just about enough to defend, also enough to attack up here. The Scottish is the one that without it. Tommy thinks about the move right up the inside, decides against it. Vampire manages to move into second, and he's now going to be attacking the Scottish down into turn number 4. But once again, Tommy can come storming back. He has to go to the extreme inside once again, but manages to hold the line. Nearly loses the rear end, but is still fighting with Vampire into the next corner, but has to cede the position here. Shame for Tommy. Good driving though.
Especially after the...
He's Vengeance and Senna currently holding on to the final points paying positions in the sprint, though I'm Your Mate Rover quite close, but with time penalties, which are going to really cost them the top 3 now, heading into the final lap of this Grand Prix. The Scottish has a half a second lead over Vampires. Bunny's Vengeance has gone backwards. What's happened to Bunny? I don't know, he's just got it wrong, I think, because I'm Your Mate's gone by. Bunny's Vengeance in the Alpine, you can see the tyres looking pretty ruined here, but he's heading into the final couple of corners, keeping fairly off the curbs, at least the entrance. Nearly loses the rear, then tries to save it, manages to just about hold the car pointing in the right direction, loses a couple of positions, but he's not lost a front wing or his wheels, so good for Bunny. As Tommy now goes up the inside of Vampire at the third corner. There's contact. Jacob's gone past 6 further back as well. I'm Your Mate's now past Senna into 7th. I'm Your Mate on a bit of a comeback drive as Senna gets a 3-second time penalty. Bunny's Vengeance is past him. These four scrapping for the final point. And at the moment, I think Bunny's Vengeance and Senna will get it on countback. Senna now looking around the outside of I'm Your Mate, and now he's got Bunny's Vengeance for company. Is he going to keep him behind him? Yes, he is. Final lap battle here for the top few positions. Tommy right up behind Vampire uses the DRS to great effect. Keeps behind at the detection line to make sure he gets it again, although obviously close enough to Scottish for them both to get it. A little bit of wheel banging, but he's through. And we're back with Bunny. We've just seen him a few moments ago lose the rear end and be passed by Senna and I'm Your Mate. He is now going back on the attack. He's staying behind the Sauber, who has to avoid I'm Your Mate. A little bit of avoided action there for the Sauber. Survives that particular instant, and now they both have DRS to attack the Ferrari ahead. As you can see, I'm Your Mate keeping it in the middle of the track, making sure that nobody can get by him. But that actually opens the door for Bunny into the next corner. He's chasing Senna into 6 again. Backs it out this time though, just to avoid any instant. Knows he's got no penalties, can stay where he is. But let's head to the front. The Scottish now heading round the final couple of corners and will take the victory in the sprint race to maintain his run of form. Tommy will finish 2nd, Vampire 3rd, Jacob will cross the line in 4th, just ahead of 6 Pompano. Syme, kind of on his own in the end, takes P5 as I'm Your Mate is going to cross the line in 7th, but will fall behind all of these guys. Down to 10th, Bunny's Vengeance takes 7th, Senna is 8th, Rover is 9th. I'm Your Mate finishes 10th. Dabosaurus will cross the line 11th, and I think, yep, Andy will jump him for that 11th spot. Dabosaurus will finish 12th. So that was your Austrian sprint. Let's take a look at the classified results from the Red Bull Ring. The Scottish takes the victory by 1.1 seconds from Tommy Ash. Vampires in 3rd. Jacob takes a 4th place there. 6 recovers to 5th, with Syme, Bunny's Vengeance and Senna rounding out the points. I'm Your Mate championship leader down in 10th and with 0 points. That means that Tommy closes in just a little bit. He's still reaching I'm Your Mate, but the Scottish is now right there in that battle as well. Split 1, the gap comes down to 24 points, with the Scottish still not that far behind. Vampire solidifies that 4th place. 6 and DRS Syme now level on points, trying to get out of that relegation zone. In split 2, Senna moves further away from Perpetual, who wasn't racing this time round, and Jimmy doesn't score points. Dabosaurus, Lil Rees and Rover once again gain a few on the guys up ahead in the split. And the constructors, the gap between Ferrari and RB is 2 points going into the feature race, with Mercedes still in 3rd, but Williams closing up. Everybody else remains as they were. So that was the last sprint event of season number 5. The feature's coming up, and it's also the wildcard as well. Join us for the highlights of that. In the meantime, like, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff. I will see you on the next one. Take care.